Finance Minister Winston Jordan on Monday, November 26, presented the $300.7 billion 2019 national budget, the coalition government's largest to date in the National Assembly. This figure represents an increase of 12.6% from the 2018 budget, which stood at $267.1 billion. Features of the 2019 budget include increases in public servants' wages and salaries retroactive from January this year and payable in December, increase in old age pension, public assistance, and more. In this InfoHub In-Depth, we take a look at the 2019 national budget and the benefit it offers Guyanese and the economy.
Finance Minister Winston Jordan presented the country's fiscal package for 2019 under the theme, Transforming the Economy, Empowering People, Building Sustainable Communities for the Good Life. The minister announced an increase to the income tax threshold of $780,000, representing a 30% increase since the coalition government assumed office in 2015. This increase will see some $805 million being returned to taxpayers. Minister Jordan said since entering office, the coalition government has made tax reform a top priority. He said the previous 4 budgets contained a wide range of tax measures that are designed to promote economic growth and to build a sustainable revenue base for government.
While we continue to improve our internal systems, we are also expanding tax services across the regions, with specific focus on the hinterland regions. This year, the GRA office in Letem was connected to the head office. This allows for live and on-location processing of business-related licenses, among other services. Thereby reducing costs and waiting time for taxpayers in Region 9. In addition, we expect that the new office in Maburumo will become operational at the beginning of 2019. Overall, our efforts have resulted in an increase in the number of registered taxpayers.
The government has raised the minimum basic salary for public servants to $64,200. The boost is in addition to the scaled increase announced earlier this month. In 2017, the government increased the minimum wage from $50,000 to $60,000. Minister Jordan also presented a paper for the back pay for this current increase to be paid out tax-free. The scaled salary increases recently announced ranges from 7% for persons making under $100,000 to 0.5% for persons making more than $1 million.
And in spite of budgetary limitations within the current fiscal year, have announced the following increases for the public servants. 7% increase for those earning less than $100,000 per month. 6.5% for those earning between $100,000 and $300,000 per month. 5% for those earning between $300,000 and below $500,000 per month. 3% for those earning between $500,000 to below $700,000 per month. 2% to those earning between $700,000 to below $800,000 per month, 1% to those earning between $800,000 to below $1 million per month, and 0.5% to those earning above $1 million. Mr. Speaker, as was the case last year, these increases are effective from January 1st, 2018. In effect, the retroactive increase means someone earning $60,000 per month will receive a lump sum of $50,400 in December. A not insignificant supplement for the holiday season.
Yes, yes. No 5% ahead.
Moreover, Mr. Speaker, the back pay for 2018 will be paid free of income tax. To all public sector workers, including teachers. The government has also raised the minimum basic salary for each public servant to $64,200 per month.
The increases do not apply for teachers, University of Guyana employees, government ministers, and members of parliament. It does, however, apply to the disciplined services, including the Guyana Police Force and the Guyana Defense Force. Other measures in the 2019 budget include proposals in support of the government's green agenda, exemptions for remigrants, public officials or officers, old age pensioners and persons living with disabilities, and measures in support of the private sector, among others. The 2019 budget is the coalition's penultimate budget to be presented before the start of the financial year and holds special significance, Minister Jordan said. He noted 2019 is the year Guyana celebrates its golden jubilee as a republic nation. Notably, too, it is the year before general and regional elections and a much-anticipated first oil. Guyana's real gross domestic product, GDP, is expected to grow by 4.6%, an indication the economy is on the rise, the finance minister said.
The target for real growth in the economy for 2018 was 3.8%. At the end of the first quarter, the outlook for the year was revised to 3.4%, given the lower than expected performance in gold and sugar. However, by the end of the first half of the year, economic activity had picked up in several other sectors, resulting in robust half-year growth of 4.5% and an upward revision of the projected annual growth rate of 3.7% for 2018. I wish to report that the latest projection for real growth in the gross domestic product for 2018 is 3.4%. A significant improvement on the 2.1% recorded in 2017.
Agriculture, fishing and forestry are forecast to grow by 3.9%. Sugar production is expected to increase by 15.6%, while rice is expected to grow steadily by 2.7% in 2019. The Agriculture Ministry has been allocated $17 billion to execute its mandate for the fiscal year 2019. According to Minister Jordan, thus far, investments to support agriculture diversification have borne some fruit, with some expansion of non-traditional crops. However, government must ramp up the diversification efforts to take advantage of available resources and solidify the transformation that is required for building economic resilience. He said priority areas include food safety and security, productivity, improved infrastructure, new value chains and value-added industries that boost investments in agro-processing and institutional capacity.
Mr. Speaker, earlier this year, we signed an agreement with the premier Malaysian Agricultural Research and Development Institute to support enhanced productivity in our rice industry. 3 new high-yielding, pest-resistant and disease-resistant varieties, one of which is an aromatic variety, will be tested for production in Guyana, with an expected increase in yield of 5% per annum over the next 3 years.
Minister Jordan says that some 1,500 farmers and 10 rice millers will be equipped with knowledge and skills in breeding and certified seed production. The program will also create 3 new rice-based value-added end products, namely pre-gelatinized rice powder, rice pasta, and rice chiffon cakes, a nutritious, dense composite for the elderly.
The restructuring of Gaisuko and the recapitalization of estates will see production increasing progressively over the next few years. Specifically, in 2019, output is expected to increase by 15.6%. Rice will continue to grow steadily, increasing by 2.7% in 2019, as farmers continue to realize productivity gains due to better practices and improved varieties.
Gold declaration is expected to increase with an industry growth projected at 2.5%, while bauxite will continue to grow by 8.6%. Meanwhile, the mining and quarrying sector is expected to expand by 3.7%. Manufacturing is expected to grow by 4.2%, construction by 10.5%, and services by 3.7%.
Minister Jordan pointed out that inflation in 2019 is expected to be 2.5%, but he cautioned inflationary pressures may arise as Ghana nears oil and gas production. The minister assured the government will respond with the appropriate measures to stabilize the rate. Overall, the balance of payment is expected to improve substantially to a surplus of over $3 billion, $15 million.
Since its assumption to office, the coalition government has and continues to place substantial emphasis on education. This has been evident in the sector's budgetary allocations over the years. In the 2019 budget, the education sector has been allocated a whopping $52.2 billion, representing a 15.6% increase over its 2018 allocation. Finance Minister Winston Jordan said the allocation is to address disparities in the education sector, such as bridging the gap between coastal and hinterland education delivery. eliminating the shortage of books in the classroom for effective learning and monitoring sector achievements.
The use of smart classrooms will be expanded throughout the country, with Santa Rosa and Paramakatay secondary schools being among the priority schools for 2019. Providing and upgrading IT labs in primary schools will continue, targeting schools in Region 6 and Georgetown. Additionally, there will be upgrades and provision for new science laboratories at LeBon Intention and Pleasant secondary schools as part of the Ministry of Education's emphasis on STEAM. Programs to reduce bullying and violence, as well as other social problems in schools, will be expanded to ensure regular school attendance. In this regard, 2 mobile welfare units will be introduced to expand access to a wider student population.
The finance minister said there will be an expansion in initiatives such as the distribution of math and literacy kits, as well as distribution of robotic kits at the primary and secondary levels. This, he explained, will enhance not only the ICT skills of students, but will also impact positively on their mathematical and general critical thinking skills. He said this is important for both their economic growth and development and self-actualization.
The University of Guyana in 2019 will receive a subvention of $3.1 billion. Of this amount, $508 million is earmarked for upgrading of facilities at both campuses, while $2.6 billion is associated with operational expenditure. The university will also be undertaking the drafting of a strategic plan, which will incorporate plans to offer several new degrees in the area of petroleum engineering. Mr. Speaker, education is not only about the past and present, but it's also the bridge that connects us to the future. It will help to mold our children for the intellectual challenges of the rest of the 21st century. For this reason, we will intensify the revision of our school's curriculum from nursery to grade 9, while addressing teacher training.
Minister of Education Dr. Nicolette Henry, speaking after the budget presentation, said she is pleased with the allocation, which will allow the further advancement of the sector.
Overall, in terms of the budget, I'm very excited about the possibilities of what we can get done with what have been allocated to the various sectors. In particular, to the education sector, the budget holds a lot of promise of work that can be done and will be done in 2019. It certainly will address many of the priority areas in education. And so I'm really pleased with the allocation, and I look forward to the implementation with myself and staff in 2019. So we're looking for a good year in education.
Minister Jordan said that $5.4 billion has been allocated for the construction, rehabilitation, extension and maintenance of educational facilities across the country. The government will this year advance works on secondary schools, including those at Westminster, St. Roses, Port Kaituma, Wakapau and Bladen Hall Multilateral. Further, nursery and primary schools, including those at Chenapau, Madia, Diamond Grove, Baggotsville and Whitewater, will benefit from improved physical conditions and additional classroom spaces for students.
Following the presentation of the 2019 budget in the National Assembly, it was announced that the security sector will receive a 14.5% boost for 2019 with the allocation of $35.6 billion. Minister of Finance Winston Jordan said the additional funding signaled the government's intention to ensure the safety, happiness and protection of citizens' basic human rights.
This year's allocation will result in the construction of the new Georgetown prison, the continued expansion of the Mazaruni prison complex, and the commencement of preparatory work for the reconstruction of the New Amsterdam prison. We will also procure the requisite equipment, including a body scanner, to detect contraband substances and improve safety at our prisons.
The Guyana Police Force's allocation will enable its expansion and consolidation of plans to streamline its divisions and construct new facilities.
To better plan and execute its mandate, the GPS has undertaken to harmonize its divisional boundaries with those of the administrative regions in a phased manner, with a view to ensuring that each region has at least one divisional headquarters. In 2019, nearly $700 million will be expended to construct and improve police buildings, including the construction of 4 new divisional headquarters in regions 1, 4, 5, and 8. In addition, about $500 million has been allocated for the expansion of the police, vehicular, and marine fleets.
The Guyana Defense Forces funds will see the upgrading of facilities at Camp Guyana, Camp Stevenson, Mokoria, Anna Regina, New Amsterdam, and Morawana. The GDF will also improve its transport fleet and procure more equipment. Public awareness campaigns in depressed communities will continue and will be expanded.
Initiatives supporting direct interventions with citizens will continue in 2019. Public awareness campaigns targeting attitude and behavioral change to prevent interpersonal violence will be implemented in targeted communities such as Vredenhoop and Alboystown. Additionally, the communities of Kildonian, Friendship, Adelphi Canefield, Kilcoy, Angles Avenue, and Sophia will benefit from funding to implement rapid impact projects, including the establishment of facilities to promote interaction, skills training, recreation, and social cohesion.
The capabilities of the Guyana Fire Service will also be enhanced.
Our fire service has benefited from the acquisition of new water tenders and related firefighting vehicles. Allocation has been made in 2019 for the procurement of 4 fully equipped ambulances, and by the end of the year, the Fire Services Emergency Medical Service, EMS, should be in a position to fully service Region 4 with a response time of about 10 minutes. The EMS rollout is expected to span through 2021 and expand across Regions 4, 5, and 6.
The Guyana Elections Commission, GCOM, has secured some $5.4 billion in 2019, $3 billion of which will be utilized for the 2020 general and regional elections. The Finance Minister told the National Assembly almost $3 billion of the total allocation will go towards the preparation of the general and regional elections, which are constitutionally due by August 2020. Minister Jordan said the recently held local government elections, or LGE, on November 12 marked a milestone in the history of the coalition government, as it is the only time in post-independence era that elections were held back-to-back.
$38.5 billion have been budgeted for public infrastructure, with several major projects planned for 2019. Minister Jordan said the budgeted amounts will be used to maintain existing public infrastructure and also bring new structures into being to aid the movement of goods and provision of services in keeping with government's vision of a good life for all.
Of the amount budgeted, 71.9% will be spent on upgrading or adding to the capital stock, while the remainder will go towards maintenance and repairs. This sizable allocation will result in improved movement of people and goods, both nationally and internationally, enhance resilience of coastal and riverine communities, and improve efficiency in services delivered to the citizenry of Guyana.
Minister Jordan noted a priority of the government is the Linden-Lethem Road, which will serve as the main hub of interland connectivity, with the road networks extended throughout each geographical region as the country broadens its relations with the rest of South America. The administration is in discussion with the Brazilian government on the development of the road from Obura to Lethem, which will create ease of access to Brazil, improve local community welfare, and promote the economic advancement of Lethem and other such communities.
When completed, this superhighway from Linden to Lethem will open the vast Rupununi and intermediate savannas of Guyana, stimulate business activities, create ecotourism opportunities for hinterland communities contiguous to the corridor, facilitate easy road access for foresters and miners, and open a new and dynamic trade and commercial link with northern Brazil. Preliminary estimates conducted under our IDB Finance Market Access Study indicate that some 80% of the container traffic to and from northern Brazil will be deflected from the Manaus Amazon River Port route to Port Georgetown, with connections to North America, Europe, and wider field. We have allocated $134 million to execute designs and studies for the rehabilitation of the 72-kilometer Linden-Suzdijk Highway. This critical road link, which has been neglected for over 2 decades, re-emphasizes the importance of Linden as the central hub to connect the hinterland regions and allows for more intensive development of the lands on both sides of the highway for housing, commercial and industrial development, not least of which is for industrial applications for our high-grade silica sands.
Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson was elated at his sector's allocation.
I mean, we got a 33% increase in roads. I mean, we were up from 32 up to $38 million, $30.5 million, which is absolutely. I mean, the Minister for Finance provided for us to do a lot more roads, more bridges, more lights, and several other things in 2018. So therefore, we'll be up and around. We'll be able to get to be more impactful. I mean, this is a launch pad. I mean, there's money in there for the new river crossing, money in there for Linden Lethem commencement of that. There's money in there for the phase 1 of the pre-Kagoshan. There's money in there for almost all my projects that I put up. So I'm absolutely elated. I think it's a budget which says that we heard you and we're answering and responding to everyone.
11.9% of the 2019 national budget has been set aside for the delivery of adequate and efficient health care to improve the quality of life of all Guyanese. The 2019 allocation is $2.6 billion more than the previous allocation in 2018.
With this allocated amount in 2019, among other things, the Ministry of Public Health intends to 1. Strengthen procurement planning and ensure cost-effective purchases of drugs. 2. Increase taxes and duties on cigarettes, thereby discouraging their use. 3. Construct 2 new maternity waiting homes in Maruka and Long Creek and refurbish the existing one at Lethem. 4. Provide capacity building for the staff of the MCH unit and procure related equipment. 5. Allocate $1.6 billion for family health care services in 2019. 6. Continue public awareness, surveillance and follow-up programs in infectious diseases. 7. Complete the construction of the Kingston Bond and upgrade the bond in Diamond. 8. Commence construction of a new laboratory for the Food and Drug Analyst Department. 9. Complete and operationalize the Port Kaituma Hospital Complex. 10. Construct living quarters for medical staff in key areas such as Camarang, Kaikan, Lethem, Mairuni, Mabaruma, Leguan and Mabura. And 11. Implement payment of allowances for health workers. Also in 2019, the government is prepared to make a significant improvement to the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation with the construction of a new accident and emergency facility. Essentially, the goal is to build a modern state-of-the-art trauma center that will allow better management of emergency cases, including addressing patient flow, isolation, and capacity. Minister Jordan, in his budget presentation, said government will continue to invest resources in the health sector to ensure that the public health care system is maintained and upgraded.
We will undertake capacity building of the MCH unit and procure related equipment amongst other initiatives. Within the realm of life cycle health management, we have recently formalized the establishment of a men's health unit and an elderly health unit, both of which will aim to promote targeted interventions for their respective groups. Overall, we have budgeted about $1.6 billion for family health care services in 2019.
An amount of $4 billion has been allocated for Information and Communication Technology, ICT, and Minister of Public Telecommunications Catherine Hughes has noted the many projects that will be implemented and continued to ensure Guyana stays the course of coming on par with the other developed and developing countries. Specifically, Minister Hughes commended Minister Jordan for the exemption of excise and value-added taxes on the importation of mobile phones with specially installed accessibility features to aid persons with disabilities.
Imagine that on these phones you could be a visually impaired person walking down the road. It is connected to Google Maps and all the GPS mapping systems. So it can say to you, audio, you can't see but you can hear, right. And it'd be saying to you, go 4 steps forward, you are trying to get to Quamina Street, it's coming up on your right, those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. And here we're talking not only about them integrating into society, moving down the road, but also in terms of online learning, in terms of those kinds of opportunities.
The Finance Minister said in 2019 plans are in place to pilot smart classrooms in all administrative regions, which will deliver smart education services such as distance learning. Through the e-network program, the government has provided internet connectivity to over 100 government buildings. In 2019, the government seeks to expand the internet reach to regional democratic councils, neighborhood democratic councils, fire and police stations, and outposts. Minister Jordan noted that efforts towards the achievement of the ICT transformation will be accelerated with the development of the national broadband infrastructure.
Our government recognizes the important and transformative role ICT plays in any economy. By 2025, 75% of the jobs created in the world will require ICT skills, and we must empower our population now to participate in this new work environment. Information and communication technology will play a pivotal role in reforming and reshaping the ways in which most of our traditional services are produced, traded, and delivered. In order to empower our citizens in this knowledge-driven area, we have allocated over $4 billion in Budget 2019 towards the ICT sector. Mr. Speaker, in the initial phases of the digital transformation that is required, we will be focusing on key sectors and services such as health, education, and security. Already, several hundred public education institutions have been provided with internet connectivity so that our young people and educators can benefit from improved learning experiences, facilities, and outcomes. In 2019, we will pilot smart classrooms across all administrative regions to deliver smart education services such as distance learning. Audiovisual facilities will be provided for medical practitioners at over 30 health facilities who will be able to engage in remote consultations with specialists who can offer expert advice and services that are more readily available in the more established hospitals on the coast.
A sum of $375 million will be used to equip 20 hinterland communities with ICT hubs via satellite in areas such as Kaikan, Jawala, Philippi, Puruma, Kako, Rewa, Surama, Toka, Kimbia, and Wairuni. This is part of the U.S. $17 million Hinterland ICT Access Project and will benefit over 11,390 residents.
The government has carefully tailored its 2019 fiscal package to ensure there is freedom of new opportunities for all people of Guyana. In presenting the annual budget on Monday, November 26, in the National Assembly, Finance Minister Winston Jordan said the fiscal package is dedicated to the quality of life for all Guyanese. To this end, he revealed that $3.2 billion has been allocated to further the development of the country's justice system.
The Finance Minister says government's legal aid will be easily accessible for non-violent offenders as new courthouses will be constructed in specific communities across the country.
The government will be expanding legal aid access in 2019, including legal assistance in the defense of minor, non-violent offenders, as well as increasing the use of restorative justice. With regard to the latter, a draft restorative justice bill has already been submitted to the Attorney General's chambers for review, which emphasizes alternative dispute resolution mechanisms which seek to repair the harm caused by criminal behavior by facilitating constructive mediation between stakeholders. In 2019, we will endeavor to establish a restorative justice office, as well as train around 1,200 persons across the justice sector on restorative justice. With respect to alternative sentencing measures, the government will be developing judicial policies for non-custodial measures, for non-custodial sentencing. By 2021, we hope to reduce the pretrial detention by 5% and recidivism by at least 2%. Mr. Speaker, we will also continue to improve dispensation of justice, with provision being made to add another courthouse in Region 1, in addition to the 4 new courthouses set up in 2018 in Grove Diamond, Bartico, Madio, and Kokwani. Additionally, we will support the judiciary as they seek to expand their complement of magistrates and judges in 2019 and beyond.
Minister Jordan also announced that $320 million will go towards property valuation in keeping with government's infrastructure development plans. He says there will be investments and expansion in land, housing and waste management projects. Ministers of government and other members of parliament also shared their views on the 2019 national budget following the minister's presentation.
It's a very comprehensive document. In fact, you could have seen there a lot of spending, a lot of money spending in all the sectors of our country: health, agriculture, infrastructure. And of course, this government also, in the 2019 budget, demonstrates its continued effort in the sense that people expect salary increases, and we have it is there in the budget at 7% for those earning $100,000 below, and we also have back pay retroactive from the 1st of January 2018, and of course the minister said that it will not be taxed.
In addition, members of the disability community said budget measures prove the coalition government is more sensitive to their needs. For the first time in Guyana, persons living with disabilities will be able to purchase their own vehicles free of excise duty and value-added tax. They will also be granted a tax rebate on mobile phones with accessibility features, allowing visually and hearing impaired persons to afford a smartphone.
Scenario of the whole thing is that it would help persons with disability to be, to access more of the internet and all the rest of it. Transportation is a big question in Guyana for persons with disability. Government is being much more sensitive to what is happening in the disability movement in Guyana, and we really appreciate that they're coming on board and they can see fit to do things that would benefit persons with disability more.
Those persons who want to own their own cars, their own vans, their own trucks, can now make those vehicles designed to a way to accommodate them. Because when I was in the States a few months back, I realized that there's a lift that persons can attach to their vehicle, that's the wheelchair users, to fetch them up to the seat level, and then you have something now taking that wheelchair to the back of that truck or that van or that car, and you continue doing your stuff like an ordinary person. So I think with that aspect of the budget that talks about making it possible for us to purchase vehicles and not pay the big heavy-duty taxes is going to significantly benefit the disability communities.
Minister Jordan noted, however, that the commission representing persons with disabilities must certify that the person, the vehicle and the handset are eligible for the concessions.
This is the coalition government's fifth budget since its assumption to office in 2015. Minister Jordan says the 2019 budget focuses on the human aspect of development, with resources allocated for the improvement of all sectors, including health, education, infrastructure and security, as well as water and sanitation. For more stories and information on the 2019 national budget, visit our website at dpi.gov.gy and social media. This has been InfoHub In-Depth. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.